Hey, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for episode number 18 of Office Hours. And this is a 30-minute session where I get to share with you all of the trending topics of the week around the military transition, career search, LinkedIn, networking, all topics involved. I'd like to first say thank you to our partner, Acuity International. Our partners at Acuity International tackle some of the toughest government projects in the world. And what's exciting about them, I posted this morning, we just got about 15 or 20 roles that we're helping them staff. They are located in Somalia, Iraq, and the Marshall Islands. And so I would say if you are interested in a trip to go do something cool, either exciting or potentially exciting, Iraq and Somalia, or quiet, which is the Marshall Islands, Kwajalein Atoll area. If you're looking for something different, you should check us out on hiremilitary.us. You'll see the jobs listed for Acuity International. And you could always just go to the Acuity International team page as well and see what opportunities they have for you in those parts of the world. Now, it's a season of change, right? We're approaching Thanksgiving. We're wearing sweaters. The weather is going. My buddy Alfredo joined us. I actually changed up my beard today as well. So, I wanted to go with something a little different, a little style. I see Alfredo, kind of showing us all how it works with Paisley Friday. I figured I would do something with my beard today. Change is good. I will tell you, it took me a little while to kind of decide to change up my beard. It felt a little strange at first, but as with anything, change is a part of life and we have to embrace it. And it can really lead to some incredible opportunities. I'm not really talking about the beard here. And so thanks, Alfredo. And so, what I'd like to do is talk to you about some of this stuff around change for the military transition. The first thing I'd like to say is, I'd like to talk about effort, right? I posted about this late last week about really you never get a second chance to make a first impression when it comes to the job search. And it all started off with two words that drive me absolutely nuts. And it is, I'm interested, right? Somebody posts a job, I post a job, a recruiter posts a job, a company highlights a cool vacancy, and 5 or 6 people in the comments just go, I'm interested. And it really got me thinking to the lack of effort and what that says to me when you just comment, I'm interested. And let me be clear. The right answer is to follow the advice in the post, check out the job on the careers page, find out if you're qualified or would be a good candidate for the role. If so, apply. And then message the recruiter saying, I loved your post on this role. I checked it out on the page. I dropped an application. Do you have a second for a few questions? Awesome. High effort, someone that follows directions and puts in the work, rises to the top. I'm interested. Only happens if nobody else applies and the recruiter goes, oh, I'll check them out. Right? Same thing goes with, I just want something remote. Look, I know that life is difficult for people. I know there's disabilities. I know there's all kinds of things that influence people's desire to find remote work. But when your statement is, I just want something remote, that really comes across as you don't want to work. It comes across that you don't want to do the work to figure out what kind of jobs are remote. You don't want to tell us what that is. You don't want to tell us what you're qualified for. But it also just means I don't want to go into the office. And then there starts to beg the question, why? Right? What else is going on? Why don't you go? What other distractions are there? Are you going to work? And so what I tell people that say that they want remote work, you've got to focus on identifying the career field that's going to align with remote opportunities. You've got to network in the areas and industries where you want to work. And you've got to tell people what you are, get to the interview for companies that have remote or telework policies, and then get the job, right? Make yourself a best candidate and align it. not tailoring your resumes. So, we post jobs a lot. I get sent resumes a lot for specific roles, and I look at them, and it's clear people put no effort into tailoring them. And what tailoring means is if you say you're going to apply for an HR manager role, right? What it means to tailor that is that you're going to have a resume that says HR manager. Maybe you have a little paragraph at the top that speaks to the specific experience you have for HR manager roles. And then your experience, your keywords, your accomplishments, all are going to align to the key tasks or the keywords in the job description. And we usually list the most important ones at the top, right? And so you can literally just line them up next to each other and make sure they align it so that at the end of the day, if someone looks at your resume, they can tell you would be able to do the job day one. That is tailoring your resume. I have a lot of people say, well, it's too much work. Tell me you don't want to work. Tell me you don't want to do the best without telling me, right? So you could think about it. If you went to hit someone 200 yards away, you might not hit anybody. If you went, you're probably going to hit them. And so, ready, aim, fire. So think about that when it comes to tailoring resumes. The first people that get interviews are the ones that we don't have to search for to see how you meet the requirements. And the same thing goes with the auto apply. Like you can go to ZipRecruiter and send out 1,000 resumes, none of them tailored. You get what you get. The I'm back posts drive me nuts. Hey guys, I'm back. I need a new job. Like, tell me you're only here because you need something and you don't actually give a crap about relationships without saying it out loud. Look, your first job out of the military is not going to be your forever job. Your second job out of the military might not be your forever job. It usually takes a few years for us to find a solid, long-lasting job just because maybe you get promoted. Maybe you get better opportunities. Maybe you pivot. Maybe the company makes changes, whatever it is. Understand that the average tenure out here is 2 to 3 years for every employee. And so the forever job is not going to happen, not likely going to happen. And so please understand that the transition doesn't end when you get a job. The transition lasts throughout your working career. And you will need that network time and time again. So make sure you invest time and effort to maintain it. And then just thank you notes. It's funny. I talk to people. I tell them to send thank you notes. And they don't send me one. And I'm like, do I care? No, not really. But it just shows how much they're listening. And it shows that, emotional intelligence, right? So I have to remind you, like, if you go anywhere beyond that first recruiter screen into the interview process, if you're not selected, send thank you notes. If someone invests time in mentoring you, like say you hop on a call with Alfredo Torres, who commented earlier, and he spends 30 minutes chatting with you about careers, about VR&E, about whatever. Send him a thank you note when you get off the call. Like, it's that simple. And what that does is it shows that you valued his time, that you respected that he offered his time to you. But it also, if you send it on LinkedIn, it's always in the inbox. So he knows that he spoke to you, and he knows that you had the courtesy to send a thank you note. So you can't, if you are low effort in the job search networking, application process, you're probably going to be low effort at work. That's just the way it is. So let's go into some other stuff here. I had a post last week about senior enlisted leader, and here's the challenge. Senior enlisted leader does not automatically translate to executive assistant, executive advisor, COO. It does not, like Sergeant Major is not a COO. And I wish to God I never wrote that article. But, senior program director, like a made up term. See if you can find that on LinkedIn Jobs. Vice president, which is a title. Like you don't just translate titles. Program manager, right? Program manager in what industry? And then senior HR manager. Like that was the first step for me, was as a program project manager, or I was a senior HR manager. Not the same thing, right? And so what I'll tell you is that if you've spent 20 years or so in the military and you are a senior enlisted leader in any level of a leadership position, there are elements of every one of those roles in your background, right? There are elements of HR in your background. There are elements of operations in your background. There are elements of project management. There's elements of logistics. There's elements of training and development. There's elements of consulting, which is what I really feel like as a sergeant major. I was an HR, I was an HR consultant. I was an individual contributor as a G3 sergeant major. And so there's elements of all those things, but to be able to, there's no translating senior enlisted leader or sergeant major or chief to anything else. You have to figure out what you want to do, what you're qualified to do, industry, location, type of company, type of role. You got to narrow that down. And then I will tell you that if you talk to 5 to 7 veterans in that field, you'll know what experience in your background is going to be relevant. And then it's just check, writing a resume. So I want you to think about that. It's really about looking forward, not backwards. There's no automatic translation. And, that goes into the civilian equivalent piece of the transition, right? A lot of people are like, translate your roles to the civilian equivalent. And I'm like, I want to pull up a chair, eat some popcorn and say, what's the civilian equivalent? And see, the problem is there is no civilian equivalent. And this is the challenge that we face. And I think that I have hope that there is one at some point, but the resume translators, they don't work because they're only looking at what you've done in the past, and they're not including the framework of what you're going to do in the future or what you want to do in the future, right? So they look at, an MP or an SP, and they're like, oh, police officer, detective, security guard, maybe manager of something if you were a senior NCO or whatever. They don't look at what you want to do and then find the relevant experience to what's there. And so that's the challenge we face. I'm using that word a lot. That is the issue with resume translators, is you need both aspects. And ideally, what I'd like to see someday, maybe with AI it happens, is you have an index of all the things done for each of the occupational specialties roles in the military, and then an index of the majority of private sector roles and what needs to be done in them. And so that allows what ideally, if you have both of those massive indexes together, what that would allow you to do is to say what you've done and then add what you want to do. And then they cross and they fill the automatic translatable things that you've done. And this is what you're missing. And you can go fill those gaps. Like that is the ultimate goal for all of this. But at the end of the day, just remember, if you have a network, if you know someone at the company and they refer you for an interview, you're 11 times more likely for the job. So to me, I always focus first on relationships and really having a solid understanding of what the role is, what they do every day, what they like, what their biggest challenges are, what metrics they track, what their boss's priorities are. Those things are what are really important to me. So, all right. A couple other topics of the week. This week, I started off with some basic LinkedIn tips. And so for the first thing I said is, I think when we start our transition, we believe, especially retirees, that we are going to be more in demand than we actually are. And what I mean by that is, when I started my transition, I had a lot of like colonels and other senior leaders and senior civilians say, oh, you're going to be fine, Sergeant Major. Like, companies be lining up to give you 6-figure jobs. You're a high performer. You're awesome. And that didn't happen. that didn't happen when I was in my transition. It ended up being the hardest year of my life. And so what I want people to do is I give you a solid framework to figure out how in demand you are. And what that is you get your LinkedIn profile complete. And I've got 2 articles pinned to my profile that'll help you do that. I have my Mastering LinkedIn webinar next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern time with the USO. We've got articles on the Hire Military website that'll take you through all of this, but you get your profile good enough. So a nice, like a good profile picture of just you, head and shoulders, something looking like you like life on your face, a background image, a solid headline that just talks about what your current job is in the military, an about section that talks about, what you've done over the last X number of years. And then fill out the experience section going out 5, 10 years, as far back as you think is relevant, with actually putting your short paragraph of what the job was right out of your evals, and then the top 5 to 10 bullets right out of your evals. Don't translate them. Put them all in there. Fill out 20 to 30 skills. They're going to be keywords that align with what you do or want to do. And then just get your free LinkedIn premium. And it's just linkedin.com/military. Service members get it their entire career. Active Guard Reserve, entire career. You sign up by clicking the Active Guard Reserve button, and it'll give you a year. When that expires, you just sign up again. It'll give you another year. When you get out, you click the Veteran one, and it'll give you 1 more year. Sign up for your LinkedIn premium, and then give it like a week. And what happens is you'll go to your premium features and see who's seen check out who's been looking at your profile, and it'll tell you how many recruiters using LinkedIn Recruiter. You'll see a list of other people whose searches you've shown up in. And if you get bombarded and there's a lot of people hitting on you, then you're fine. Maybe a little bit less stress. But if you don't have recruiters showing up, it means you're not showing up in searches. It means your content doesn't resonate. You better double down on figuring out what does and what experience is translatable. And so that's how you figure out how it's on demand. I did one on Monday, I think it was, that just talks about this. The next part of it was about skills. A lot of people don't realize that skills impact. Let me back it up. A lot of people talk about the algorithm like it's this dreaded thing. Where it really fits is in how the algorithm ranks you against other candidates when looking for the job search, right? So if I get into LinkedIn Recruiter and I create a search, I'm going to probably put current title, past title, degree level, veteran, and then skills would be keywords, right? The skills that you must have for the job. And then, see how many results there are. You add a location, it filters it down. You may have to take out some to get more candidates or reduce some to get less candidates. But the key to this is say there's 500 candidates for a role. What LinkedIn does is it ranks them like that, 1 through 500. That's the algorithm based on percentage match, keywords. That's why I have you put more content in there, the skills, everything else like that. Now, where it becomes interesting in skills and people overlook this is your skills carry more weight if you are endorsed by other people that do those things. And so just any of your connections clicking and endorsing you for a skill will make you rank higher. And if they are endorsed heavily for that skill, it has much more weight and will rank you higher. And you can click onto your skills to see who's endorsed you and how you rank and all that other stuff. But the key to this is it doesn't say who endorsed you. So for me, I would say to all my friends, hey, can you endorse me for my skills and I'll endorse you for yours. Now, for me, if someone I don't know well asks me to endorse them that I'm connected to, I will typically endorse them for the things that I know that they have based on their military position. So I will endorse them for leadership if they've been an E5 or above, or, project management, or, HR, things that I know that they would deal with. I will endorse them for those. So, just think about that for skills, right? And then, it all comes down to effort. I talk about my tips when it comes to, realizing that if you believe you're a high performer, if you believe that you want a six-figure role, if you believe you want a career trajectory that goes upwards, then you have to accept that you may not have everything right now and go get it. You may understand that LinkedIn takes a little bit of work, but you have to go have those conversations. You may be an introvert and not feel comfortable making the phone calls. Well, you have to get over it, right? Because that's the only way you're going to talk to new people and expand your network. You'll get on the interview prep tool on the premium features and practice your interviews, check your lighting, check your sound, right? You'll do mock interviews with people. You'll prep for salary negotiation. You have to prep. That's it. And that's why we all want you to start early. And then the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'll go into closeout unless there's any questions, is two things VA related. One, if you're getting out, go to VFW, American Legion, Paralyzed Veterans America, Wounded Warrior Project, the accredited, trained VA disability support, whatever you call them, right? National level agencies, and have them help you file your disability claim. I don't care if you think you deserve it or not. It is an entitlement. And I used to have a senior leader that told me it's like if you lease a car and you return it, it's damaged, you got to pay for the damage, right? It's a similar concept, right? And so, and I say go to a federal, a national level agency, because if you move, they have representatives where you are that can file supplemental claims. I had to file a supplemental claim after I got out, and I worked with the VFW, and I just sent an email, and they're like, send me the doctor's notes. I sent them the doctor forms, and they filed everything on my behalf right there. And I had a doctor on the phone doing a check within like a week, 2 weeks, and they processed everything fast. And so I tell everybody to make sure you file your disability. Thank you, Veteran Service Officer Organization. Correct, Alfredo. So I tell everybody, file your claim. Let the VA figure out whether you get anything. And sometimes 0% or 10% will still qualify you for stuff. And I believe, Alfredo, the next part of this is if you're 10% or 30%, you qualify for VRE. Veterans, VRNE. So basically the old voc rehab, Veterans Rehabilitation and Employment, Readiness and Employment. But it's a program to help people find meaningful work that are disabled veterans. They can, if you determine a career path that'll allow you to get sustainable work, requires some education, certifications, vocational training, whatever, you can work with a VRNE specialist like Alfredo, and they will help you file the paperwork to get the VA to pay for you to go get that additional education, whatever it leads to that meaningful career, right? That sustainable work. So I will say VRNE. And then the last part I'll just say is, look, if you're a veteran and it's 10%, right? So 10%, you can get VRNE benefits as well. So that's amazing. But if you're a veteran, I would tell every veteran to go file for VA healthcare and let the VA see if you're entitled or not. I can't share this enough. I went 6 years with TRICARE Prime, which was totally fine. I'm near a military treatment facility, one of the satellite facilities. My kids get in right away. They have a sick call. My God, don't ever go to the clinic. Not the clinic, the pharmacy. Forget that. I'll pay a copay before I wait for my medications to come out there. But everything else has been amazing. But I was paying copays for my medication because I didn't want to wait for 3 hours. I was paying copays for my CPAP supplies. I was paying copays for my insert. They didn't give me chiropractic or acupuncture. None of that was there. And so at the end of last year, I filed for VA healthcare, and it has been a godsend. I have a PCM at Fort Belvoir that I can go to. It's like 20 minutes away. I can message her. She responds within 24 hours. I have her email and her phone number to call if there's anything I need. She gave me her card. I never had that happen before in my career. She gave me her card. Like, I'm your PCM. I'm not going anywhere. I never had that in the military because my PCM changed every 2 years like I did. And so, like, that was amazing. She's responsive. They see your medical records from TRICARE. So if I get issued a medicine from TRICARE, I just send her a note saying, can you pull this in the VA? She pulls it in and puts it on the automatic system that mails it to me. And I can go in and order more of it by clicking, and they just mail it to me. She put me in for a referral to get to the sleep doctor, which pulled my CPAP into the VA system. They sent me a whole year's worth of supplies, including a reservoir, which I never got through TRICARE. And I go in and order more when I need it. They gave me 2 sets of inserts. They gave me chiropractic care and acupuncture, which was life-changing. I was having to do like back cracking exercises every day just to be able to like make it through my day with some pain. And now I'm fairly pain-free in my back because 15 minutes away, there's a chiropractor I go to now. It's about every month. No copays. They do acupuncture on the front end, and then the adjustments and everything, and then I'm on my way. And I have to say, it's been amazing. And when I did have to go to the DC clinic, I've never been to a facility where more people were genuinely happy to see me. Like, the ladies that told me where to park were super nice. The people that checked my ID card were super nice. The person that checked me in for my appointment was nice. Like, I wasn't bothering them. They were happy to see me there. My doctor was amazing. Called to check up on me afterwards. Not every experience is going to be as amazing as mine is. I did have to follow up to advocate for myself a few times. Any major medical system is going to have the same way. But what I tell everybody is you need to have, if you are eligible, you should have TRICARE and VA healthcare. They don't cost you anything, and you should have choices, right? That's what I'm going to say. How do you sign up for VA healthcare? Google register for VA healthcare. You go in, I think it uses ID Me. It takes 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And there's a box you can check at the bottom of the application that says, have someone call me within a week to schedule your first PCM appointment. Check that box. They called me exactly 7 days. They called me and said, hey, we've got you scheduled for the DC Medical Center. And I said, hey, I asked for Fort Belvoir. She goes, oh, let me check. Oh, you know what? I have an opening at Fort Belvoir. I'll move you there. Boom. Oh, I have a cancellation in 2 months or in a month or whatever. Like, does that work? Yes. Boom. I'm done. So think about that. And then the best thing in the world for you to do when you're in the VA healthcare is to use My Health Vet, the secure messaging platform, right? They have a rule that they have to respond within 2 to 3 business days. It's been a godsend. I don't try to call anymore. I just send that and get a response. And that way there's also a record of my communication to them in case there's any issues and you need to find your patient advocate. Most people don't realize they do have a patient advocate. You don't ever meet them unless you need them. And then there's the 1-800-MY-VA-411 is the if like you're really struggling, you can call them and they'll connect you to the right resources. So, I mean, is it perfect? No. Do I wish I would have started it 7 years earlier? Heck yeah. And it's an entitlement. So, get it. It's better to have and not need than need and not have. So 30 minutes on the dot. I want to finish up and just remind you all about the opportunities we have at Defense Logistics Agency. They brought us to help DLA Finance fill 5 of their critical job specialties in 6 different areas. We've got business analyst, financial analyst. We've got financial liaison, accountants, and accountant systems roles. The accountants require 24 hours of accounting and or business law to qualify. The other ones have no specific degree requirements. Remember, it's called Defense Logistics Agency. So if you have a finance, logistics, any kind of background like that, you could be a great fit. These are GS roles, and we have them for both skill bridge, where you do a skill bridge and lead to a GS role, and we have them, you're a veteran or a military spouse or a transitioning service member, and you just want to get hired into a GS role. You could apply for our direct hire opportunities. They're all on the Hire Military website. Locations for DLA Finance are Fort Belvoir, Richmond, Philadelphia, New Cumberland, Pennsylvania, Columbus, Ohio, Whitehall, and San Antonio. And so if you're one of those areas, you have any kind of finance or logistics background, you're interested in those roles, check them out, drop your application. And what we're helping them do, and their leadership totally supports, is pursue direct hire or rapid hire authority so you don't get lost in the USA jobs process. A lot of people don't realize that veterans, disabled veterans, and military spouses are eligible in a lot of cases for non-competitive direct hire. You just got to get the right people to move the process. And so we're blessed to have the support for them. And I think it's just an incredible opportunity. And so with that, I finished on time, had my 2-minute wrap up. I will see you in 2 weeks. Next week, I am in Phoenix, working with Naval Talent Acquisition Group Phoenix on social media policy and training. So see you all in 2 weeks.